Let me show you something. It's 2 a.m. You've just launched your business. You've spent months, maybe years, building something you genuinely believe in. You have a product. You have a website. You have a dream, and then reality hits. You open your analytics dashboard and you see it. 0 visitors, 0 signups, 0 customers, and the cruel joke? Every article you read, every guru you watch, every podcast you listen to tells you the same thing. You need to spend money to make money. Run Facebook ads. Hire a PR firm. Get on Google. Build a paid funnel. But what if you don't have the money? What if your entire marketing budget is, and I mean this literally, $0? That's exactly where I found myself. And what I'm about to share with you isn't theory. It's not a motivational speech. It's a step-by-step breakdown of the real, unglamorous, sometimes embarrassing strategies I used to get from nobody knowing my name to having 100,000 customers without spending a single dollar on paid advertising. And here's the part no one talks about. Some of these strategies are things big brands could never do, but a scrappy, broke founder absolutely can. So if you're building something right now and your bank account isn't cooperating with your ambitions, this is the video you've been waiting for. Stay with me. Because by the end of this, you're going to see your situation completely differently. Part 1. The mindset shift that changes everything. Before we get into tactics, I need to rewire how you think about marketing with no budget. Because most people approach it completely wrong. When people hear 0 budget marketing, they think it means cheap marketing. Discounted strategies, watered-down versions of what the big players do. That is the wrong frame entirely. Here's the truth. Money in marketing buys you one thing: scale and speed. That's it. Paid ads let you reach 1 million people fast, but they don't make people trust you. They don't make people love your brand. They don't make people tell their friends about you. Those things, those are earned. And they're earned through something money literally cannot buy: genuine human attention and authentic relationships. When you have no budget, you're not playing a lesser version of the marketing game. You're playing a different game, one where the rules actually favor you if you know how to use them. The founders who win with 0 budget understand one core principle: constraints force creativity, and creativity is your most valuable asset. Let me prove it to you. Part 2. Start with who, not how many. Here's mistake number 1 that kills most 0 budget marketing efforts before they start: trying to reach everyone. Paid advertising lets you cast a wide net because it's automated. You set targeting parameters and the algorithm does the volume work. But when you're doing this manually, when every outreach, every post, every conversation costs you time, you cannot afford to be vague. The most powerful thing I did early on was to define my first 100 customers with terrifying specificity. Not young professionals. Not small business owners. I'm talking Sarah, 34, runs a Shopify store selling handmade candles. Frustrated that her product photography isn't converting, spends her evenings on Instagram and Pinterest. Follows 3 specific accounts, uses these 5 specific hashtags. When you know your person that specifically, you know exactly where to find them, what to say, and why it matters to them. This is called building a customer avatar, and most people do it lazily. They write 3 bullet points and call it a day. But the founders who crack growth with no budget obsess over this. They read Reddit threads written by their ideal customers. They study 1-star reviews of competitor products to understand unmet needs. They show up in Facebook groups and listen before they ever speak. Because here's what specificity gives you that money can't: resonance. When someone reads your message and thinks this was written for me, that's more powerful than any ad algorithm on earth. Part 3. The Give First Economy. Let me introduce you to the most underrated growth engine available to a founder with no money: radical generosity. We live in what I call the give first economy. The internet has created a world where the most trusted people are the ones who give away the most value before asking for anything in return. Think about it. The YouTubers you subscribe to, the newsletter writers you open every week, the Twitter accounts you follow obsessively. What do they all have in common? They give you something useful, insightful, or entertaining consistently before they ever ask you to buy anything. This is a strategy that was impossible before the internet. Distribution used to cost money. If you wanted to share knowledge or value, you needed a publisher, a broadcaster, a distributor. Today, the distribution is free. What you bring to it is the only thing that matters. So how do I apply this practically? Content that solves real problems. Not content for the sake of content. Not tips and tricks that everyone already knows. I mean content that genuinely answers the questions your ideal customer is typing into Google at midnight when they're stressed. I started by identifying the 10 most painful questions my target customer had. Not the questions they should have, the questions they actually demonstrably had. I found these by searching forums, looking at Google autocomplete, reading Reddit, scanning Quora. Then I created the most thorough, honest, useful answer to each of those questions that existed anywhere on the internet. Not a blog post, a definitive resource, the kind of thing that when someone found it, they felt like they'd struck gold. This does two things simultaneously. It builds SEO equity. Search engines reward genuinely helpful, comprehensive content. And it builds trust equity. People who find your content and get real value from it will remember you when they're ready to buy. This is called contental growth. And it's one of the most proven paths to 100,000 customers without a single dollar spent on ads. Part 4. The power of communities you didn't build here is a shortcut that most people either overlook or misuse. Other people's audiences. Right now there are communities, Facebook groups, subreddits, Discord servers, Slack communities, LinkedIn groups, forums, filled with your exact target customers. Thousands of them, tens of thousands. And the person running that community has spent years building trust with those people. The wrong approach, and this gets people banned every day, is to walk into those communities and pitch your product. That's spam. It destroys your reputation and gets you removed. The right approach is to become genuinely, visibly helpful in those communities, with no agenda. Answer questions. Offer feedback. Share resources. Be the person in the room who consistently adds value without asking for anything back. Here's what happens when you do this consistently for 30 to 60 days. People start to recognize your name. They associate you with helpfulness and expertise, and when they're curious about what you do, they come to you. You don't have to pitch anyone, because you've earned their attention through demonstrated value. This is called community-led growth, and it's one of the highest ROI strategies available to early-stage founders. But here's the advanced version. Reach out to the community owner directly. Find the person running that 20,000-person Facebook group and offer to do a free live training for their members. Find the podcast host with 50,000 listeners and pitch a genuinely interesting angle that serves their audience. Find the newsletter writer with 30,000 subscribers and offer to write a guest piece at no charge. These people are always looking for high-quality content to serve their audience. If you bring them something genuinely valuable,
they'll distribute it, and you get access to a massive, warm,
trusting audience that took someone else years to build. One well-placed collaboration can do more for your growth than months of paid advertising. Part 5. The referral loop, your growth engine. Let's talk about the engine that, once you get it running, basically operates on its own. Word of mouth. Engineered deliberately. Most people treat word of mouth as something that either happens or doesn't. If the product is good, people will talk. That's half true, and half dangerously naive. Great products are necessary but not sufficient. People are busy. Even when they love your product, they don't automatically tell their friends unless you make it easy, obvious, and rewarding to do so. This is the science behind referral loops. Every product that has grown explosively, Dropbox, Airbnb, Uber, PayPal, had a deliberate referral mechanism baked in. And none of those mechanisms required a massive budget. They required cleverness. The classic example, Dropbox gave users extra storage for referring friends. That single mechanism drove 3,900% growth in 15 months. No paid ads, just a well-designed incentive loop. You don't need to copy their exact structure. What you need is to answer one question. What would make my happiest customers excited to tell a friend about me? For some businesses, it's a discount. For others, it's early access to new features. For others, it's social recognition. Being featured, celebrated, given a badge or title. Some customers just want to feel like insiders. The key is to identify your customers who are already genuinely enthusiastic when these are called your super users or brand advocates, and give them a reason and a mechanism to spread the word. At the zero budget stage, this can be as simple as personally emailing your happiest customers and saying, We're growing entirely through word of mouth right now. If you know anyone who might benefit from this, I'd love it if you shared it. And I'll personally make sure they get taken care of. Human, personal, direct. No automation required. And it works. Part 6. The underrated power of direct outreachy. Want to talk about something that sounds boring but built a massive portion of my early customer base. Cold outreach done right. I know. You've been on the receiving end of terrible cold emails. The ones that start with "I hope this finds you well" and end with a pitch you didn't ask for. Those don't work. They've never worked. But personalized, researched human outreach, that's a different animal entirely. Here's the framework I used. I identified 20 people each week who were a perfect fit for what I was building. I spent 10 minutes researching each person, their work, their recent posts, their challenges. I then wrote a message that referenced something specific about them that showed I'd actually paid attention. Offered something genuinely useful with no strings attached, a piece of feedback, a resource and introduction. Asked for nothing in return, that's it. No pitch, no CTA, just value. What happens when you do this? Some of those people become customers, some become collaborators, some share your work with their networks, and some of the most valuable ones become long-term relationships that compound over years. This is called relationship-first selling, and it's the oldest marketing strategy in human history. It predates the internet, predates advertising, predates capitalism itself, and it still works. Especially because so few people do it well in a world drowning in automation and spam. Part 7. Social proof, the currency of trust here. Is something counterintuitive. The fastest way to get your 100th customer is to absolutely obsess over your first 10. Most founders treat early customers as proof of concept and move on. The smart ones treat early customers as their marketing department. Every person who uses your product and has a positive experience is a potential testimonial, case study, or walking advertisement. But you have to ask, and you have to make it easy. Reach out personally. Ask for a quote. Ask to document their story. Ask if they'd be willing to be featured. People are flattered when you ask, and most will say yes. Then put that social proof everywhere. On your website, in your emails, in your social media content, in your direct outreach messages. Here's the psychological mechanism at work. Humans are wired to follow other humans. We look at what other people are doing to decide what we should do. It's called social proof, and it's one of the most powerful forces in human decision-making. A single compelling customer story with real results, real emotions, and real specifics will convert more visitors into customers than any piece of copy you write about your own product. Because you're supposed to say nice things about your product. Your customers aren't. When a stranger says "this changed my business," people believe it. When you say "this will change your business," people are skeptical. That's just human nature. Work with it. Part 8. The compounding nature of zero-budget marketing. I want to be honest with you about something, because I think a lot of content on this topic skips over it. Zero-budget marketing is slow at the start. Paid advertising delivers results immediately, or at least quickly. You spend money, you get traffic, you get conversions. It's fast. Zero-budget strategies are different. The first month you might feel like nothing is working. The second month you start to see small signs of life. By month 6 things start to compound. By month 12 you have a machine. This is because every piece of content you create continues to drive traffic. Every relationship you build can refer you indefinitely. Every community presence you establish keeps growing. Every piece of social proof you collect keeps converting. Paid advertising stops the moment you stop paying. Organic, relationship-driven, content-led growth compounds over time. It builds an asset, not a rented audience. This is the trade-off. Paid is fast and temporary. Organic is slow and permanent. Knowing this going in is what separates founders who quit zero-budget marketing after 6 weeks and go back to ads they can't afford from the founders who stay the course and build something genuinely defensible. Let me bring it all together. Getting 100,000 customers with zero marketing budget is not about finding a hack. It's not about going viral or getting lucky. It's about understanding a fundamental truth about how human beings make decisions. People buy from people they trust. They trust people who have helped them. They help other people who helped them first. and they tell their friends about things that make them feel good. Every strategy I've shared with you today, content that solves real problems, community-led growth, relationship-first outreach, engineered referral loops, obsessive social proof collection, all of it works because it's rooted in that fundamental truth. You don't need money to be helpful. You don't need money to be genuine. You don't need money to build relationships. You don't need money to create something worth talking about. What you need is patience, specificity, consistency, and the willingness to show up every day and add value before you ever ask for anything in return. The founders who understand this don't see a zero marketing budget as a limitation. They see it as a filter, one that forces them to build something real, earn trust genuinely, and create growth that no algorithm update or ad platform policy change can take away from them. That's not a consolation prize. That's the best possible foundation for a business that lasts. Now, go build something worth talking about.